Hi everybody, TJ Mack Vintage Cards here, and today I'm happy to show off the 1957 Topps football set. Really one of the most important football issues ever made. It's got a lot of great rookies in the set, such as the Johnny Unitas, Bart Starr, Paul Hornung, Dick Night Train Lane, Tommy McDonald, Raymond Berry. You're going to see those cards in this video. And just really a beautiful design that year with the pastel colors in the background. And you can see here like where they would show the name above the portrait, because they had these dual photos in these cards of an action shot and a portrait. The background matches the background on the action shot side, and then here it would give the position with the team name. So just really a really interesting set of cards to look at. I like that they did include the action and the portrait shot, so you can get a nice up-close shot of the player, which is important in football because it's really hard to see what the players look like back then. You started seeing more of the face masks coming in the league, so you can kind of see the player up close, their face, and then get an action shot with them, which I thought was a really nice idea for that year. And in 1957, the Detroit Lions ended up beating the Cleveland Browns in the NFL championship that year, 59-14. The league MVP was Jim Brown, who doesn't have a card in this set, and he was held to 20 carries for 69 yards. So the Detroit's defense was quite stout that game. I believe they had 5 interceptions. This is the last card of Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch. So in this set, there's 154 different cards. The 18 that I'm showing today are all Hall of Famers. The set had 31 total Hall of Famers. These cards ranging from grade 5 to grade 6. There's football funny man Art Donovan. And it's the first of the standard size cards for football. So in 57, they did the standard size baseball cards, as well as hockey and basketball. But this is the first as well for football that year. And here's one of the most versatile players of that time, Frank Gifford. What I'll do here is I'll flip a card over so you can see what the back looks like. So on the back, you have these cartoons depicting some information about Frank Gifford, either something that he did the previous season, or they might just share some other information on the player. So Frank's all-around play led the Giants to the world title last year in 1956. And there he is catching the ball. He caught 51 passes in 56 for 4 touchdowns. Just a very versatile player of his time, Frank Gifford. Then they have the year and lifetime stats here, little player bio, and then some of the vital information above it. Then he got his first name in red, last name in black, and then the football in the corner there with the number 88 inside of it. It's just a really fun back. I like the backs on the 57 Topps. They have a lot of nice information on them. So that's the Frank Gifford card. And then here's the Raymond Berry rookie. Raymond Berry, this set is important because I think this set is really the crossover when you go from the older era of football to the newer era, because this set has a lot of rookies of those stars of the 60s when football became the #1 game over baseball in the United States. And Raymond Berry was a big part of that because he played in the greatest game ever played between the Giants and the Colts in 1958. In the championship game when the Colts won in overtime 23-17 on an Alan Amici touchdown, which the great Johnny Unitas set up. And in that game, Raymond Berry had 12 catches for 178 yards. So the millions and millions of people watching that game got to know Raymond Berry. And after that, he was really one of the more popular players in the NFL at that time. He finished his career as the NFL all-time leader in receptions. That has long since been broken. In 1958, he was the receiving yards leader with 800 yards, and then he was second in receptions with 42 receptions. And he won 2 NFL championships in his career, and he was a 6-time Pro Bowler. So it wasn't the fastest runner, certainly, but he was one of those guys that they said was a lot faster in pads. His hands might be the greatest of all time. I would only put maybe Chris Carter ahead of him if I had to really think about it. But he had really spectacular hands and was also an outstanding route runner. And him and Johnny Unitas, this had such a good chemistry. It was said that they would play football in pitch black dark practicing their routes, and they would say that Raymond Berry would run a post pattern in pitch black, and Unitas could probably hit him 8 out of 10 times doing that. So it was Berry that would really push Unitas to stay after practice so they can work on running routes and throwing in passes. And he was also a great student of film, really understanding the specifics about running the routes and that how they can obviously have an impact in making bigger plays and things like that during the games. So just one of those really great receivers of his time, and was one of those guys that opened up that type of ability with the route running and the work habits that really helped receivers thereafter. And then next to him, you got Bart Starr. And Bart Starr is one of those guys that I like to really compare favorably to Troy Aikman. They were very similar type quarterbacks. Aikman, of course, played much later, but he led the Cowboys to 3 Super Bowls. And Bart Starr led the Packers to 5 championships, 2 of which were Super Bowls. But they were both quarterbacks of offenses that centered around the running game. Bart Starr had Mr. Inside and Jim Taylor, and Mr. Outside and Paul Hornung, who we'll talk about in a few minutes. And that team really relied on running the ball, but Bart Starr was just really one of the outstanding leaders at the quarterback position. He was really a great passer. He could get the ball down the field, but what he was really good at was the play-action pass. So once the Packers would establish that running game, he would really keep those defenses honest by putting the play-action pass to good use on occasion to get those long first downs. So really one of those guys that didn't get the most out of his talents, I think, but certainly isn't underappreciated by me because I like those kind of quarterbacks that really play within their team and really aren't out always necessarily for the big numbers. And that matters to me because quarterbacks have to be a leader first and foremost and take advantage of the strengths of their team, which he did as the Packers, on the Packers. And Vince Lombardi just had so much respect for Bart Starr. He was one of the few guys that Bart Starr could speak his mind to, and Lombardi wouldn't get upset. So tells you something about the caliber of individual this guy was. So here's his rookie card. This is one of the, I think it's the most valuable card probably in the set. And this is the most I ever paid for a card. I didn't buy this one too long ago. I've been collecting for a lot of years, so I have cards that are more valuable certainly, but I've been collecting for over 20 years. So this was a card that I had to pay quite a bit for to get, and I'm just really happy to have it. And then here's the Joe the Jet Perry, 49ers running back. And then next to him was Tommy McDonald. He was his rookie card. He was a receiver for the Eagles, the Rams, and the Cowboys, and won the NFL championship in 1960, along with Concrete Charlie here, Chuck Bednarik. And then the quarterback of that team, who never had an Eagles card, unfortunately, and not really happy about that because I would have loved to see him in an Eagles card, is Norm Van Brocklin. He was the MVP in 1960, and then he retired thereafter. And he never had a card of him in a regular issue with the Philadelphia Eagles during his playing days. And then over here you got Lenny Moore, who was one of the outstanding running backs of his time. Would have been a wide receiver probably today if he played. But very versatile guy who could do it all. He could run the ball, block, throw, block and run good routes and catch the ball. Just a really great player for his time. And then next to him is another Colts great, the rookie card of Johnny Unitas. And just really love this card. I've said in a video before, I had this rookie card, not this specific one, as a kid. I bought it at a card show in 1987 for $25, and it was probably in about similar shape to this. I think this card's in a little better shape, but I ended up selling it years and years ago, and recently acquired this one late last year to help put this run of cards together. So Johnny U, he led the league in passing yards, and this would have been his second season in 1957 with 2,550 yards. The Colts finished 8-5. He had 24 passing touchdowns, which led the league, as well as an 88 passer rating, which led the league too. And he was a guy that really ushered in the modern era of quarterbacks. Bobby Lane was really probably the first quarterback that used the two-minute drills effectively, but Unitas perfected it. He was really one of those guys that you would always feel that you can win the game with him at quarterback. He just had that kind of confidence in the huddle. He was known for his crew cut. He had the rounded shoulders, the high black top shoes, and when he threw the ball, I always liked his throw. He would have that real. He would throw it kind of over his shoulder straight, and then on his release, he would have that real deliberate hand gesture when he would throw the ball, which I always liked in warm-ups. Just a real cool guy. 3 MVPs he won in his career. When he retired, he was the all-time passing leader with 290 touchdown passes, as well as the all-time yardage leader with 40,239 yards. One of those quarterbacks, again, that brought in the modern era. His numbers hold up very well to today. I think you can make a case that he was the greatest quarterback ever, given the time that he played. It was really a defensive era, not an offensive era, and he dominated statistically during that era. So it's kind of hard. His stats aren't going to line up with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, but if those guys played in this era, their numbers would not be what they are in the pass-happy NFL of today. It's always for the great debates, but there's no doubt in his era he was the best quarterback. I can pretty comfortably say that, just because of all the different things that he could do statistically, as well as winning the championships. So he was one of those guys that did it all. And then lastly here, we got the Paul Hornung. He was known as the Golden Boy. He won the Heisman Trophy with Notre Dame and was the first pick by the Green Bay Packers in 1956. A little bit of a polarizing player. He had some off-field issues. He got suspended for a year in 1963 for gambling on football, including his own team. So he was kind of one of those guys that was even considered to be somewhat overrated by some of the commentators, and when you watch the different football programs, even to this day, you get people that are so focused on numbers, and I'm not really, the older I get, the more I want to understand how the players played and what they brought to the team. It's not always about the numbers, and that's especially true in football. If you have a guy like Paul Hornung on your team, he was their field goal kicker, and as well as a pass receiver. He was a great blocking running back. He was a great running back. He would be the quarterback on a lot of the option plays that the Packers ran. So he was one of these guys that could do it all. And to sit here and say that, to me, he's overrated, I just don't agree with that. In 1960, in a 12-game season, he had 176 points that year, which is still the second most points all-time in NFL history. It was broken in 2006 by LaDainian Tomlinson. So in that season, he had 15 touchdowns, 15 field goals, and 41 extra points. This guy was a player, and I just have a lot of respect for him. And I know he's, again, a little bit polarizing, but what he brought to the field, if I was a coach, I mean, what a tremendous talent to have on your side. And even though he may not have been stood out statistically for certain things, he could do so many things so well. So I just like to highlight those types of players. I mean, that's really important to me, to see guys like that recognized for what their contributions were. And I compare that similarly to Frank Gifford. Frank Gifford was very much the type of player that Paul Hornung was. So that's the 1957 top set being profiled again today. And I really, again, just enjoy showing these sets off to everybody. And I really do appreciate you watching my videos. I love this hobby. I love the game of football. There's nothing that's more fun to me than preparing these videos and reading up on these players, which I've read up on in the past because I like to read up on the players of the cards for the cards that I buy. So I just get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And I just really, again, want to thank everybody who watches these, and especially appreciate the nice comments as well. So you have a great day, and football season starts tomorrow. So hopefully you have a good, nice football season as well. Everybody take care.